Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. Arsenal are incredible, and I wanted to take a bit of time. Instead of doing this last night, I wanted to sleep on it and then wake up and do it, because you know what, you can get a little bit sensationalist, immediately after a result. But you know what, I look at Arsenal a year ago, and I'm not an Arsenal fan. I want them to win the league. They're top of the league at the moment. I think they are third favourites for the league because their running is ridiculous. But I'm starting to believe that Arsenal can do it. And maybe that's a jinx, but I certainly think the bottom line is, whether they win the league or not, people need to wake up and give them more credit. Last year, they overachieved and everybody expected and spoke about the bubble bursting before it did. And it was gone by this time, and Man City just went away with it. A lot of people said that Arsenal team, that was their best chance of winning the league, and they blew it, and that would be it. And then this season, they've been a far better team. They started the season on a strong defence, and then since Christmas the attacks kicked in. The timing, whether that's meant by Arteta, and I think it is. I think he did look at it and go, we've got to finish the season stronger. Whereas last season they started the season with 43 points from 48, and they've been stronger in the second half of the season, which is what title contenders do. Whether they win the league or not, they are genuinely title contenders, and if they can buy again well in the summer like they did with Declan Rice last year, I don't think... I look at that Arsenal team and I don't see it dropping off. At some point, they'll surely win a Premier League title, because that's the bottom line. They are Premier League title contenders. They are a team now that you look at and go, they can go to the Etihad and get a draw. They can go to Brighton and comprehensively beat them. And that's what they are. And the defence, they just don't concede goals. They don't concede goals. They've got the best goal difference by a very long way. They don't concede goals. That defence is amazing. Declan Rice has been brilliant. Odegaard. And another one as well. Havertz. I mean, I've spoken about Havertz. We've spoken about Havertz. Arsenal fans have spoken about Havertz. He was a failure. He was a question mark. And managers do make mistakes. Pep makes mistakes on signings. Klopp's made mistakes. And I felt that Havertz was going to be a mistake by Arteta. Not enough that, and we do live in the modern day where if you make a mistake on a signing, I've seen it with Man United. Oh, look at Onana and Mount. He's got to go. No, Sir Alex made mistakes. Mourinho made mistakes. If you've got a 60 to 70% hit rate on transfers, you're actually doing well. So, of course, Arteta could afford a mistake on Havertz, but it's not been a mistake. A lot of people wrote it off, and actually, he's now a massive part of that team that could win a title, could win a Champions League. Will certainly fight for a title until well into May. And that's basically progression for Arsenal. Last year it was gone in April. This year they're going to go all the way pushing for it, I think. So, Havertz has been a major, major success. The way they play the game, the way that they, navigate really difficult fixtures. Look, I don't think they're going to win the league. I want them to. As a Man United fan, they're the lesser of the three out of Liverpool and Man City that I can deal with. Brighton is one down. They've got Villa at home next week. They've got Chelsea at home at some point. They've got Spurs away. And they've got Man United away. And they've got Wolves away. Those 5 games are all winnable, but they're all potential draws. And Arsenal, if they're going to win this league, I think they've got to win every single game, because look at Man City. Look at the decisions they're getting. Look at their running. I personally think Man City could win their next 7 games, which will give them 91 points, which means Arsenal are going to have to win every single game. They're going to have to do that. And they're capable of it. They've got a momentum. And what I would say about Arsenal that's really impressive, and I saw it against Brighton as well, we saw it against Man City, which was a different type of game. And this is where I think they deserve some credit, is that there is an evolution in that team. And I saw it with United when we used to win things. You kick into April, you've been playing really well, but then this stubbornness kicks in and this belief kicks in of, look, Brighton away is difficult, but we're Manchester United. We're going to go there, we're not going to concede, and we're going to get the goals with the quality we've got, and we're going to fight every minute to get it. And I see that with Arsenal now. I do see these fixtures where I go, and it is traditional, you go, traditionally Arsenal will struggle here. Spurs away is going to be tough, because Spurs are a good team, they're away from home, and Arsenal are going to bottle it. That's what's going to happen. And that's psychological. I think everybody sort of thinks that in a way. But then I look at it and I go, Well, why are they going to bottle it? You know, they've got a really strong defence that's not going to suddenly become weak. They've got a belief in that team that is not going to suddenly break. And they've got people like Rice, Odegaard, Jorginho's come in and done very well, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, Havertz, Trossard. They've got players that are hungry to play. You know, I look at United at the moment and the injuries, and I'm not saying they're all fake, but there will be some players who just don't fancy it. And they'll be like, you know, I am injured. In an Arsenal team, you'll be like, oh, you feel a bit of a twinge and you shut up about it because you're like, I want to play. I want to play. I want to keep this momentum going. And I think that's what we're seeing with Arsenal at the moment, this belief, this strength. Now, the interesting thing for Arsenal is going to be, you know, they've got Champions League football as well. I've been saying for a while with Arsenal, if they lost a Rice or a Saka or an Odegaard or a Saliba, it all comes crashing down, in my opinion, because they're so fundamental. But they might not. They might not lose them. But what they're going to face now is a game every few days. Like, Bayern Munich's massive. I think they will beat Bayern Munich. I don't think that's a surprise. Bayern Munich aren't playing very well. The positive of that is you're into a Champions League semi-final. The negative of that is that you're going to have a massive battle, which is going to be sandwiched in between massive Premier League games against Man City or Real Madrid. I've said for a while now, Arsenal's best chance of a trophy might be the Champions League. Funnily enough, that, you know, it's only 5 games to win the Champions League, whereas to win the league, you're probably going to have to, you know, well, you've certainly got 7 left, and the Champions League will impact you on that. But I think they're heading in the right direction. I think as long as Arteta's going to stay, every one of those players will stay. You add 1 or 2 more players to that, and you retain what you've got, and that squad and bench becomes stronger, and that's how you compete with Man City. You've got to have this relentless project and add to it so that your bench and your squad is as strong as your first team. And Arsenal are certainly heading in that direction. But look, whether they do it or not, I don't think Man City will get any credit whether they win it or not. Liverpool are obviously going to get a lot of credit. It's Jurgen Klopp's last few weeks in charge of the club. He's built a dynasty. But it's important to remember Arsenal's place in this. Whether they win it or they don't, they've been an absolute credit to the Premier League. And they're not like the team last year that sort of arrived at a party that many people didn't think they should be at and sort of got kicked out at the end. They're in this title race party. They deserve to be there. And they are the best team since Christmas. Like, they are. Not just because they've got a good defence, but they've played the best football since Christmas. Liverpool have been good. They've had to grind it out. They've had injuries. Man City have been Man City. I think Arsenal have been the best. The problem is, if Arsenal had a better run-in, I'd put them as favourites. It's just their run-in. That's the problem. And people will say, well, look, over a 38-game season, you know, that's why Arsenal won't win it. You play everybody twice, but your run-in is important because, as we saw with Villa against Man City, they didn't turn up. That's 3 points. Villa, when they turn up at Arsenal next week, will put a proper team out. So your run-in is not just about the fixtures, it's about circumstances. Anyway, get your comments in below. What are your thoughts on that? And also, can I just say a personal thank you to everybody who is supporting the book I've got out. Hopefully it will come up on the screen here. Yes, it will. Let me grab the book. You can pre-order it now. You can pre-order signed copies from W.H. Smith. We've got it out for pre-order. It's basically football according to Mark Goldbridge. My book telling you all about my journey in football from birth to now. Also the YouTube business with some funny little stories in there. My favourite section is actually when I'm aged between 12 and 16 and, you know, doing a paper round and acting like I was Fabrizio Romano on the school bus because we didn't have phones then. So I'd be telling everybody these transfers and the older kids would be trying to beat me up and I'd be saying, no, it's true. It actually is true. But you can pre-order it now and please do support it because if we get enough pre-orders, then it will get sold in places like Tesco and Sainsbury's, which will just destroy all the haters. We've built an amazing community and it's only going to be successful if you lot pre-order it and get it. So please do support it. And thank you very much. I will speak to you. Well, I'm on the United stand for United versus Liverpool later. I won't be back on here today. I've got a bad feeling about this. Check out the book, though. Thank you very much.